only person I owe is myself. Strict on.
Yes, people. If you can hear me, just write in the comments. It's Big Stricto here. Myself with BigSteve, Man City's very own, Manchester's very own BigSteve. Obviously, the top two, as you can see. I don't know how it's coming across on the screen, but I'm on top of Steve.
Yeah, you need to sit. Yeah, we'll let you get away with that one, innit? Because
listen, Steve, thanks for coming on, man.
No problem, man.
Listen, for me personally, we've been having this debate amongst ourselves, Arsenal fans, like, are we title contenders? And you can't ask Man United fans because they're not chasing us. You definitely can't ask Liverpool fans because they're definitely not chasing us. So I thought to myself, you know what? Let me get on the one Man City fan that I know. Let me get Steve on. Let's get his opinion. Let's get, how you seen it. Because, I can't remember what, in the last 7 years, 8 years, I have never, ever had to look for City. And I'm sure for you the same. You've never had to look for Arsenal. But here we are. I've never actually wanted City to actually lose a game. They are one of my favorite teams outside of Arsenal, simply because the way you lot play, reminiscent of the old Wenger days, and Pep just carried it on. But this season, you've turned into my ops right now. I was watching the Fulham game. You guys with 10 men, cheering Fulham on, but that never materialized. So, Steve, the question I'm going to ask you is, are Arsenal pretenders or contenders?
First of all, make sure everybody knows that the only man who stood outside the Emirates telling everybody that Mikel Arteta was the right man for the job, that day you was there. I told him, time, listen what he's doing, relax. Too many people getting excited, too many people trying to get him sacked. Even towards the end of the last season, calm down. I said, relax, man. And look now, you just think if the board had crumbled at the end of last season and got rid of him now, you'd be on another rebuild, another manager, loads of players in, loads of players out. But you didn't. You stuck with him, and look how the mood around the ground and everything's changed, and the atmosphere, and everyone's enjoying going to the game. And first of all, got to give him credit. All the Arsenal fans were telling me that the Pep's Cone man was no good for Arsenal and this, that, and the other. But I knew, and the reason I knew is because I've been around Man City a long time, and Pep, and I've seen the respect that Arteta got in the changing room and on the pitch, training pitch. Been to watch academy games, seen him there. So I knew he had something about him. And if you've been shadowing the best manager in the world, you're gonna pick things up. And like I said to the Arsenal fans in the early days, a big sick show, always arguing about it. You had the Tottenham Toby and all them Chelsea saying Arteta needs to go and this, that, and the other. And I was like, listen, you've employed a rookie manager. If you employ any rookie in any job in the world, no matter if it's stacking shelves, driving forklift trucks, or anything, the rookie has to have time because he's a rookie. And that's the road Arsenal went down. They got a rookie. So the biggest thing you needed was time, yeah? That's most important. You get a manager off the shelf that's winning things all over the world, like Conte, yeah? He ain't going to get the time because they're expecting him trophies like this, like Mourinho, like this, like this. But Arsenal did it right. They did it right for me. And to answer your question, yeah? Of course they are contenders, 100%. And the thing is, if you guys don't believe you're contenders, then it won't happen. You've got to believe. Everyone's got to believe. The fan base is looking galvanised and strong. You've got to be marching on every single away game, all pulling in the same direction. Is there going to be shocks? Yep. Is there going to be some shit results? 100%. But can Arsenal win the Premier League? 100%. Because I remember Leicester, yeah, going through that season and everyone was sat on the big, tall mountaintops looking down on Leicester like they were a piece of shit. Oh, Leicester can't do it. They're going to fade. And before the fading happened, mate, they come into the Etihad, they're slapping us up. They won the league. So Arsenal, the biggest thing that the fans say to me is they couldn't go 12, 13 games on a run. Well, they just have. So, yeah, 100%. Arsenal's the one we got to catch, the top of the tree. So, yeah, man, it can happen.
So you know, you said earlier, and I remember that conversation you and I had. It was at the Emirates. We just lost 2-1, I believe, if my memory serves me right. And I remember that game, Steve. And I remember that game for me was a turning point in because I'll be honest, I've been an Arteta out for a very, very long time. And the problem being of us Arsenal fans, let me talk about myself, is we've gone how many years of our 18 years of our winning the league. Yes, a couple FA Cups here and there, but I've felt like most fans, we've kind of had enough. We need the next push. We've seen the Leicesters come and win it, like you've said. We've seen City come from nowhere. You know, I remember the video I watched of you talking about from Barnsley to Bernabeu, and all of a sudden you've pushed on, and then we're hearing talks of Newcastle coming, gonna be overtaken. We've had to live with Chelsea, you know, winning the Premier League, Champions League, Tottenham finishing above us. At a time, we were fed up and didn't have time. We needed a short fix, someone to come in, get us a Premier League, and then from there, from there, we bought the time, and it felt like Arteta, we didn't have the time. We finished, as soon as Wenger left, we got Emery in. Emery, I suppose, probably didn't even get as much time as he probably should have looking back. But then we've got Arteta, who's a rookie. He's making what looks like rookie mistakes week in, week out, sending Saliba on loan, Guendouzi on loan, his little spat with Aubameyang. So if you add all these things up, plus when we were at the table, it looked like the slowest car crash. And I'll be honest with you, one of the turning points for me was that game at City, at the Emirates, where we really, really matched City head to head, toe for toe, attack, defending. Do you know what?
Do you know what? Right, this is what I said on the Big Six. Arteta's very clever here, because he would have looked at that Arsenal squad and he knew that certain players in that squad were bad apples. Yeah, but if he walks in that dressing room with the way your fan base is and says to Oba, I don't rate you, go and train in reserves, this, that, and the other, all hell would have broke loose at Arsenal. Then they would have got on his case. So what he did is he was calm and he just gave Oba enough rope to deal with himself. Yeah. And then in the end, he got rid of him the right way, because of discipline issues. And the fans couldn't argue with that because it was Oba's fault. Yeah. But then what he's done this season, he's brought in winners. He's brought in people that trust him. Yeah. Alexander Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, two winners that he knows have come in that dressing room now. So any of them boys on that training ground say anything about Arteta, Zinchenko 100% will be saying, hold on a minute, this fucking guy knows what he's talking about, mate. Let me tell you, man, Centurion season, formidable season. So then you get these younger players thinking, oh, hold on a minute, better get a bit of respect. And you can see now that the team respects him, the fans respect him. And when you're on a run like you are and the momentum's going, it's one hell of a journey, man. And like you say, anyone that says Arsenal aren't contenders, they just don't want to believe it because they don't want it to happen. But I'm a realist and I know they're contenders, so I only look above. That's where I'm aiming to go, to the top. I'm not interested what's behind me until they're right up my ass. So I'm looking at Arsenal and thinking, we need to go for them. And I just think they've got I think in January, I think he's got to gamble and get a couple of players in to bolster the squad. Because if you watch City last season, at one point we were 14 points clear. And then towards the end of last season, when we had the Champions League and we had FA Cups and all that coming in, we were on the bones of our arse. We had Fernandinho playing at centre half, Fernandinho playing at right back, Johnny Stones at right back. And we scraped that title at the end. We limped over the line. So Arsenal can't afford that this year. They're in a great position. They need to strengthen two quality squad players to give players a rest in the season. Odegaard running his bollocks off. Saliba playing out of his skin. Jesus not scoring at the minute, but running himself ragged. Of
course.
You need a couple of squad players to come in, take the burden off them, freshen it up.
I think that's what most of our fan bases are looking at. That's what we've identified, because we know our squad depth isn't as deep as obviously we're competing with City. Definitely not on the level of City. But going back to you and talking about Zinchenko, do you feel that was the right deal to sell him to us? Because of course at the time you would have seen us as contenders.
No, to be honest, look, whichever way you want to look at it, Pep Guardiola is never selling Zinchenko or Jesus to Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. They've sold him to Arteta. He's his friend at the end of the day. It's a bit of a favour, I think. But Zinchenko probably wanted to leave. He's been a great player for us, played all over the park, humble guy. Probably after 4 Premier League titles, probably deserves to be a regular somewhere and probably deserves the love every week. So he went. And Jesus was the same. If you've got an option, they've probably gone to Pep and gone, right, we're bringing in Erling Haaland, but someone's got to go. So he's probably thought, you know what, I'm not keeping Jesus back. He's a young kid. You've seen him. He's like a bull in a china shop. He don't want to be on the bench. He wants to play. He wants to be a superstar. He wants to be a number 9. So he gone to Arsenal. Fair play to him. Man City fans, nobody moaned. We patted him on the back, sent him on the way. We got Erling Haaland. We're happy with what we've got out of it. You're happy with what you got out of it.
I think everyone's happy. I mean, I think for him, World Cup was coming up. He didn't want to sit at the bench at City, and he's ultimately achieved what he set out to achieve. He's been named in the Brazilian squad. So, everyone's happy. And for us as fans, he's not scoring, but he's doing everything else next to scoring. Do you know what I mean? He's like you said, bull in a china shop. He doesn't stop. He's constant. He's so driven. And it's lovely to see as fans. And I can't remember the last player we had.
You needed that because you used to play us down in tools and sulking. I remember playing Arsenal. We beat you 5-0. Half of that team was a disgrace. They walking around that pitch like they didn't give a shit. I tell you what, Gabriel Jesus, whether you're 1-0 up, 5-0 down, he'll still play exactly the same because he loves playing football and he plays to win. Zinchenko's the same. He might not be the best player in the world, but I tell you what, if you're in a fight or you need somebody to be solid, Zinchenko is that man.
100%. And we right now, I would say at the pace that we're going right now, we definitely need more players like that. We definitely need more winners like that. Where'd you go to buy them? I don't know, but we definitely need people with attitude like that, mentality like that. For a long time, we've had players with down tools. Mesut Ozil, I used to see stats. He was one of the players that ran the most. I couldn't believe it because he must be run like a headless chicken because none of his runnings made anything. Fair enough, when it comes to assisting, he done his bit, but his all-round attitude when we're losing, he was the last player I wanted to look at. And as much as the players we've brought in is also what Arteta's done with the players that we've had. Granit Xhaka, he's absolutely transformed this guy. This guy, as far as I was concerned, I wanted this guy out of the fucking club. I wanted him out of the fucking door. Right? And when he came and he told him, look, I want you to stay, I was thinking, hold on a minute. You've got an ex-captain who's thrown the armband in the ground, giving fans the finger, and you want him to stay, and you are convincing him to stay when Roma are prepared to pay 15, 20 million for him. He was already out the door. Now, looking back, that's probably one of the pivotal decisions of his managerial career so far, because you try to get a player like Xhaka from any other team, you're looking to spend about 50, 60 million quid.
But Xhaka was there in the down times with you guys. He's probably more frustrated than anyone, as long as you was. So he probably just had enough. Like you guys, you people come out on AFTV and they have a mad reaction and that. He's had a couple of them, told the fans to fuck off, said things. But look what's happened now. Look what's happened when winners start coming in your football clubs and young players come in who are hungry and then you've got a bit of competition and you're all pulling in the same direction. It changes people's mind. All of a sudden, Arsenal becomes a good place to come to work. Instead of dodging down the motorway, thinking any Arsenal fan's going to see him in his car and smash it up, he's fucking got the window down. He's got the tunes on. He's going into work every morning thinking, fucking hell, it's great round here, man. And that's the difference, and it can change. We've had it at City. Ilkay Gundogan, a few years ago, was a scapegoat. Oh, he's not good enough. Look at him now. Rodri, oh, he's not good enough for the Premier League. Fernandinho's better than him. Rodri now, perfect. It happens in football clubs, but like you say, when you've got managers like Pep and when you've got managers like Arteta and Pep, they don't just buy a player, they buy the mindset of a player. We bought Ruben Dias from Portugal to replace Vincent Kompany. And Ruben Dias came in that first season. He was like a monster. We got to Champions League final. We won the league. He was a monster. And you think, how's he picked him out? And then when you listen to the interviews, it was all about the discipline and the leadership skills. And my friend's a kit man at City. And he said from the first day he walked in the dressing room, he was like one of the leaders. And that's what you're buying. And I think now you're well up there with that team spirit. And I think he can only add quality to that team now. And Arsenal can only go one way from here for me.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Is the mentalities. You know, most players, professional footballers, have ability. You know, but how do you apply it? You know, and you got to kind of look for that. You know, those centimeters. You know, that differentiate.
The one thing I'm going to say is usually the team that's top at Christmas, you start thinking they're going to win the league, but usually at Christmas, you've played 21 games, 22 games. This Christmas period, we've played 14. So it's not really Christmas.
It's not. It's not real because we're in November and already.
What I'm going to say is as well, the numbers at Manchester City and Liverpool take this league to are phenomenal. So the big test is after Christmas, Manchester City can be behind, but they're good at chasing and they're good at putting pressure on. And let me tell you, as an outside fan, these title run-ins now are horrendous because you can win 15 games on the bounce, 16, 17 games on the bounce and lose the league by 1 point. And that is a sickener for Liverpool fans. And we've won it by 1 point. So all I'm going to say is it's going to be tasty after Christmas. Everyone knows it, and it's going to be a fight. If Arsenal fans think Man City are going away, it ain't happening because we kick into gear late. If anyone thinks Liverpool are going away, then I'm telling you now, they ain't going away. And it's just going to be a battle, man. It's going to be battle.
Let me ask you this, yeah? Given you've won the Premier League back-to-back, essentially, it's a league that you've won. As your priority, do you think your priority now is the Champions League, and you might not give too much eye on the Premier League, or do you just want it all? Do you think Pep wants to win every single thing?
The Premier League is the Premier League's the bread and butter for us. You know, at the minute, God help. You know, in an ideal world, if someone said, "Well, you can have the Champions League this season and leave the Premier League," I'd probably do it because the only stick anyone beats us with is the Champions League stick. But then Premier Leagues, you know yourself, you've won Premier Leagues. But then Premier Leagues, when you're chasing teams down and you're going in, them Ilkay Gundogan, last-minute goals when you're 2-0 down, Sergio Aguero's, them moments, you want them moments, man, because as a fan that goes every week home and away, you need to see the end product. And to get to the last game of the season and win that trophy, it's unbelievable. So I love the league. I love the Prem. I've never won the Champions League. I was there in Chelsea, in Porto, and it was shit. And we've got unfinished business. But there's no pressure really to win that Champions League. Only the media and rival fans put the pressure on. You need to win it. No. We go what Pep Guardiola says. If we get to the Champions League and we win it, great. But the Premier League's the bread and butter for us at the minute. You know, we keep going. But yeah, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
All right. Let me just read a couple of the chats on here. Bert Sade, if I pronounced it right, wrong, whatever.
Bert Shader.
But I'll just say Bert
Shader.
Is that a Manchester thing? Yeah, I don't know.
I think so. Yes, it's like the real Slim Shader, but Bert Shader.
All right, cool. Big up, Steve, the realest City fan online and on the terraces, legend. Big up to you, Stricter, as well. You're all title contenders. Mikel, he's learned off the Don. Yeah, I mean, Mikel's probably in one of the rarest positions where I think he would have caught Wenger's maybe not Wenger coming off his prime. I mean, Wenger's not a bad person to learn off of. I think if I remember Wenger being asked which one of these players does he think will go into management, and I remember him clearly stating Arteta. And then Arteta's probably had a little bit of Wenger playing under him, and then gone over to Pep. And I think probably most important thing, the most important difference between him, within Wenger and Pep would probably be mentality. I think he's probably taken Pep's mentality and harnessed it and took it with him and brought it over, because the Wenger days, to at least towards the end, you could see players that maybe lost respect for him. Not in a way where they're disrespectful, but maybe like didn't see him as an authoritative figure. If you think of what Fergie was doing, you think of what Klopp's done, and you think of what Pep's done, there's that air of, there's a presence. And I think towards the end of Wenger's career at Arsenal, he lost that presence. And I think Arteta's brought that back now. You've seen getting rid of Abba. You've seen the decision to sell Guendouzi. Things like that. I think, when he got rid of Abba, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I like that. I like that because it's going against the crowd. And there's that old saying, if you want to lead the orchestra, you must turn your back on the crowd. I love that. And that's proven to be one of the best decisions, because now there is a team there now. It isn't just one man who thinks he's above everyone. You saw those leaked footages when he was dissing Arteta, and he's saying, oh yeah, all them other little boys. And bro, you can't get anywhere when your captain and your main star is looking down at the rest of the team. You just cannot. And you have to get rid of players like that. They cannot stay in the dressing room.
Well, we have at City, any single player that wants to leave Man City is free to leave Man City. That's what Pep says. Anyone. So if you want to leave, you go. It's no animosity, no dramas, nothing in the papers. You want to leave, you leave. Leroy Sané wanted to leave. We took the money, he went. Bernardo wanted to leave. We said, pay the money, you can go. Never paid it. Raheem Sterling, Jesus and Zinchenko, all left for different reasons. But it's just, Arsenal fans themselves have got to just calm a little bit. It's not the older guys. The older Arsenal fans know the score. They know they're in a good position. They're keeping the lid on it and they're trying to go for it. Game in, game out, week in, week out.
Cup final every game.
Yeah, a lot of the younger ones are getting a bit giddy and that. And that's when it comes to bite you on the arse. I mean, you look at the Premier League, you look at Newcastle, they're going to take points off people. United are going to take points off people. Liverpool are going to come back. City's going to come back. Even the little, when it gets to the business end of the season and there's a relegation dog battle and the European places to be won and all that, that's when little teams start beating big teams. That's when it starts to go shit. And that's why you need to keep on going. And anyone that thinks Arsenal's just going to sail all the way to the title without any choppy waves ain't happening. There's going to be a meltdown period where you're going to probably lose a couple of games on the bounce. And the key is how the fans react. Instead of everyone shitting themselves and thinking the title's gone and our heads have fell off, you've got to get back on the horse and regroup. We've just been beat off Brentford, yeah? But there's no panic stations over here. We're not falling about thinking, oh, shit, we've lost the league, because we've come from miles behind to win the league. We've come from 2-0 down the last game of the season to win the league. So we're relaxed. And that's the key next step, to see how the fans react when there's a bump in the road. Don't go mad. Just keep on going. Get back on it. Keep ploughing. Because the players feed off it. Because we've done it in the crowd. Sometimes you get a bit shitty and you start to get a bit agitated and the players get a bit jittery in that. And that's what
you can feel it.
That's what you don't want to do.
And I suppose that's probably for me, my worry is, if I look at the season as a whole, all the games we've played in the league, we've yet to face adversity. And I mean proper metal testing adversity. You go back to, like I said, the Fulham game with City. You're down to 10 men and you're actually playing like you've got 12 men. Things like that, where you don't put your head down, you just head up and you go for it. Or even a red card. For us, we haven't had a red card really go against us. And we actually haven't even, in most games, I think if off the top of my head, I think we've scored the first goals in most games. And one of the games where we didn't score, we lost, which was at United. And I think the one with Fulham, we won that game. But things like that, where you're going behind, you're away, you'll go down, You know, that kind of stuff. Those stuff are yet to come, you know, to test your metal. And that's where my true concern is, because the old Arsenal, the Arsenal of the last 5, even 9 years, you always hear the word capitulation.
Yeah.
Capitulation, where, you know, one thing happens and everyone kind of sort of feels sorry for themselves. And it's like a disease, man. It's like a big flipping disease, bro. And that is the one thing we're yet to see. Stuff that's going to actually test the boys. How much do you really want it? City have showed it. You guys show it nearly every season. In fact, you guys even show it at probably the worst time, when the title's on the line. Like last season, you went 2-0 down, your Aguero moments, stuff. You guys have shown it, you know, and that's what I don't want to see adversity, but if we do, it'd be really interesting to see how we deal with it.
That's
now, I want to ask you one question, yeah. So
yeah.
I'm looking at the Arsenal team, the squad right now, and obviously you guys are the elite team. Who in the Arsenal 11 would you think would start for City?
At the minute, the way we are patched up, I like Saka, but I people, Arsenal fans hate me for it, because I always said City should sign Saka and turn him into a left back. Because we could do with him down there on the left. But I like Saliba, me. I think Saliba, he's gone out on loan. It's done him the world of good. He's come back this season, looks solid.
He's very Vincent Kompany-ish. Everyone kind of sorts of compare him to Van Dijk. I've always seen him as more of a Vincent Kompany. He's so big guy, do you know? Like, even the way he runs like Kompany a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yes, I like him. I really do. I rate him. Odegaard at the minute's doing really, really well. I think there's a lot of them players could get in our team in different ways and different positions. Obviously, Zinchenko was at our place now. He'd be playing every week because he'd be playing left back, and Cancelo be right back. Jesus at the minute would probably be, you know, starting it here and there. You know, we've traded him up for Alvarez and that, but you've just got a good side. Thomas Partey now is finally looking like the player we knew he was at Madrid. You know, Odegaard's chipping in. Martinelli's having a fantastic season. So, listen, the City team at the minute is a bit of a mismatch. We've won the league 2 years on the bounce, scored the most goals in the whole of Europe, playing with no striker. So, to all of a sudden add a striker like Haaland, people think we should be winning the league by 20 odd points. Doesn't work like that, because a lot of people have got to change the game. So instead of Riyad Mahrez getting on the wing and cutting inside and playing it across the middle and keeping the ball moving and coming back and ticky-tacking around the box, not happening like that now. He's expected to cross it. So things are getting a bit different. We've had a few fullback injuries. John Stones playing right back. Doesn't happen. Shit.
That's crazy. Yeah.
He's changing the centre-backs week in, week out. 1 minute it's Diaz, Stones, Akanji, Diaz, Ake, Laporte. It's weird. So we just need to get in our rhythm. We just need to get a settled side and then go from there. Rodri is playing far too many games. Calvin Phillips was bought to come in and ease the burden on Rodri. He's played 58 minutes all season, Calvin Phillips. 58 minutes. So we're not up to full speed. We're not. Haaland's been immense. And don't get me wrong, he's been immense. And because Kevin De Bruyne puts that much quality in that box, if you're an elite striker, you took it away. And he has. Jesus used to miss 3 or 4 a game, but then City would win and no one would talk about it. But what I'm saying, at Arsenal now, you know, he's doing all right. But Sterling, on the other hand, he used to miss 2 or 3 a game. City get him out the shit. At Chelsea now Chelsea is shit. Sterling is showing him up for what he is, because he's getting 2 chances in a game, you're getting beat. So the fans are going to turn on him there.
Yeah. No, 100%. I look at you lot's team. I mean, going back to what you said about Jesus, he is doing everything. You know, he's doing everything but scoring, and he does miss a lot of chances. And I think, you know, in that area, I think we would need to get a goal scorer. I know there aren't many of them about. I seen Haaland saying his ideal game is to have 5 touches and score 5 goals. You know, you kind of need a striker or goal scorer who is in that, who gobbles them up. You know, and I don't think Jesus is that guy, but he's pretty much doing everything else. We've scored the second highest goals in the league. You know, he's chipped in with a few assists, or even a pre-assist, or even getting a tempo going. Things of that nature. Like, there are things that the stats don't measure that Jesus does very, very, very well.
We've got Haaland, and we've also got Alvarez, who comes off the bench and he can score goals. I look at Arsenal and I think, if Jesus ain't firing, who's their man to come off the bench in a scrappy game and just nick one for you? And that's what I think you need. You maybe need someone that can come on in the 80th minute and just nick a scrappy one. Man City won the league a lot under Mancini that first time. We had Edin Dzeko, and Edin Dzeko wasn't playing every week, but if we needed a goal, we throw Edin Dzeko on, mate, and we're getting a goal. He was getting us there. And I think Arsenal just need that.
Yeah, I mean, we've got two recognized forwards in Nketiah and Jesus. Both styles are quite similar. You know, you're not gonna throw the, you know, like you said, if you're needing a goal, you're not gonna be throwing balls in the box and have that air. They don't have aerial presence.
No.
They don't have an aerial presence. And you talked about Xhaka there. Xhaka had so many things. He could play a bit. He was good. He was good in the air. You know, he was, you know, good position and stuff like that. So I do think we would need. I mean, I was saying to one of my mates the other day, and he thought I was crazy. I wouldn't mind Giroud coming back. You know, I would not mind Giroud coming back. It doesn't, you know, aerially, the guy's a fighter jet. In the air, there aren't many in the modern game in the air better than Giroud. And he can link up play. I know he's going back, but he's not going to heavily feature. Do you know what I mean? But if you can get a striker of that, a forward of that sort, that brings something that we don't have. I mean, I don't even know how tall Jesus. I don't even think he's even up to 6 foot. I know Nketiah isn't up to 6 foot. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you need that goal, and you know you need someone who's going to aerially bully up front, unless you chuck one of the defenders up there, you know, we're going to be seen wanting. Also, I wanted to ask you as well, what would derail City's season? Like, what would fuck up your season? Like, how would it fuck up? Even better.
I think there's 2 things that derail our season, and they're both the manager. His stubbornness to not make changes when he can see things going wrong, like he did at weekend. The game was crying out for Bernardo Silva in the middle of the park to create the energy. We needed Jack Grealish, who was having one of a great season for us. He's not scoring, he's not assisting, but what he does with the ball, the transition and attacking, we needed him. Didn't put him on. John Stones at right back, weird. When you've got 2 young left backs at the club, where you can play Cancelo at right back and you can play Wilson Esbrand or Gomez at left back, but he didn't do it. So I think tinkering a little bit could derail us, because he does like to do that. And then with the injuries, you know, Kyle Walker coming back from the World Cup, if we get a couple of knocks, will he go in the market and buy? I don't think he will. He likes to keep a small squad together. And sometimes, especially last season, we nearly ended up with fuck all. Let me tell you that. We were that close to ending up with 0, because we went to Atletico Madrid and we got through and we got battered, like physically battered, injured. We flew back to Manchester. Well, I actually flew back to London. We had the FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. We had to play Zach Steffen in net, Fernandinho at right back. We got beat off Liverpool, so we were out of the FA Cup. And then we had the Real Madrid game. Fernandinho come on and cost us a goal and all that. And then we were literally limping from game to game. We go and hammer Wolves. We were getting beat 2-0 at West Ham. And we come back to 2-2. And then we're getting to beat 2-0 against Villa, and we won it 3-2. So that's how close it was, because we didn't have the squad. So for me, A, if he fucks up and doesn't change it when he needs to, and B, he's got to make a decision in January whether we gamble, because we've got the money, and bring in a couple more players just to boost the squad.
To me, listening to that just sounds crazy. Like City needing to boost the squad. It just see it's like a girl with a big ass already trying to go and get butt shots and stuff.
Do you know what though? People don't realise that if you look at our bench, yeah, we've got academy kids on that bench every week, 3 or 4 that don't play because when you look about it, Kyle Walker's our right back injured. Do you know what I mean? It was like, you know, Calvin Phillips is our DM cover injured. You know, he's going on like Riyad Mahrez is off the ball. You know, he's not playing well. So, you know, Haaland's the main man. When Haaland comes out, you got Alvarez. He's a rookie striker coming in. So, I don't know. But last year when you had Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Alexander Zinchenko can play in midfield and fullback. Yeah. Jesus can play wide and striker. Sterling can play wide and striker. Gives you a bit of depth, a solid depth, like winner's depth. Whereas now, the depth we've got this season is not quite. Gomez, Anderlecht, 15 million. Yeah. Utility player. He's not up to it at the minute. Rico Lewis, 17-year-old fullback. Wilson Esbrand, 18-year-old fullback. You've got Manuel Akanji, didn't have the best starts at Dortmund, 15 million coming in. So it's not as strong as people like to think.
Okay. And then obviously the World Cup, you've got about 16 players at the World Cup.
16, yeah.
And we've got I think 10 or 11. And one thing I do hear a lot is in terms of our season, everything's kind of hinged on what happens when the players come back from the World Cup. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Everyone's got players at the World Cup. I don't understand this whole mentality. I know everyone wants us to fuck up. I know, because some of our fans, we are excited. We do get excited, myself included. But an injury. I mean, you're quite lucky. Haaland isn't going to the World Cup. And we're quite lucky in the sense that Odegaard isn't as well. But if De Bruyne gets injured, how does that affect your season? Because he really does get injured a lot during your season. Right.
Last year dragged us to the title, but last year De Bruyne's game was different. Last year he had no target man. He had no one to pass that ball to. So he literally had to run from midfield and he was getting 3 and 4 goals against Wolves and he was dragging us to the title. This season, he's playing a lot deeper. He's playing them passes. You've seen the passes he's playing. Haaland's finishing them. So, yeah, De Bruyne's massive. If we don't have De Bruyne, then it's a big, massive miss. But Bernardo Silva steps up. The other year when De Bruyne got injured, Gundogan stepped up. Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan, for me, can't play together. The both of them in the same team doesn't work. One or the other works. De Bruyne, without him, great. Gundo, without him, great. So these options we can if De Bruyne gets injured, but it's not ideal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear that. I mean, that's the luck. That's the depth that you have. I always feel like for us, we are probably one injury away. I mean, Partey for us has been massive this season. This is probably the first season since he signed where he hasn't got injured. Like he's kept himself fit and he's massive for us. And an injury for him. We've got to kind of bring El Neni or Sambi Lokonga. They're nowhere near his level. They don't have the vision he has. They don't have the intensity that he has. They don't have the positional sense that he has. I think, we definitely need to address that area for us. But let me just read some of the comments that just come in. Pius Andrew Da, excuse me if I've butchered up your name. To be fair, if Arsenal win it, it's basically still partly the fruits of Pep's labor.
Not really. It's not.
I mean, I can see where you're going, but Arteta is his own man. I mean, one of the massive things that actually changed my mind on him was the All or Nothing documentary, and we as fans never really get to see what goes on behind closed doors. So we have our own conceptions of what's going on, and to see that detail, to see how he works, his mentality, he's almost got that philosophical thing that Wenger used to have, and certainly Pep does, things like that. And one thing I always wondered was, how do the managers react in bad times and in defeat? Because Wenger, I've always heard he was never a man who ever raised his voice. So whether we lost or we've won, He was kind of pretty mundane and that kind of stuff. But to see Arteta, you know, he would fucking swear, and I fucking love that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, guys, what the fuck are you? That kind of stuff, you know, tear into them. I remember there was a clip where he tears into Nuno Tavares, you know, because we don't see behind closed doors. So you just think these guys fuck up and they probably get a pat at the back, you know, and he tears into that. And like, as a fan, me in particular, I love to see things like that, you know, and it makes a massive difference for fans. It makes a massive look. The Emirates has changed now. Everyone who's watched that documentary has had their idea on Arteta change fully, and it's partly one of the reasons we're behind him.
Yeah, no, the atmosphere's changed. You got them Ashburton lads or whatever they are now, all making the atmosphere behind the goal. That helps massively. And like you say, when you're at the top, everyone's throwing stones at you, so you need to be together. If you're divided or cracks divide in the fan base, it's easy to get people to get infiltrated and online and cause diversions. And that's why Man City fans, the fan base is solid. We know everyone's going to call us for oil. We know everyone calls us about empty seats. But at the end of the day, we don't give a fuck about any of that because we're still winning the We're still winning the Premier League at the end of the season, and everyone's still talking about empty seats.
Yeah. No, that's you know, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We're fans because we want trophies, you know. I'm sure any other club would love to have the owners that City has had, the owners that Chelsea have had, the owners that Newcastle have. You know, at the end of the day, you just care about winning it, whether it's organic, whatever. You just want that victory parade at the end of the season, which is what, you know, which is the reward for all the hours you spent watching your team playing. But listen, before we go, just want to ask your opinion on Ronaldo and what's happening on the other side of the city.
Yeah, well, listen, he's their legend, yeah? He came back. They tried to talk it up. He wanted to come to City and all this nonsense, and apparently he's mentioned City again today. I probably do think City probably said, well, you know, send us the numbers across and see what it's like, but there was no sense in him coming to Man City. Never was. We didn't need him for one. He's a Man United legend. He's gone there, but what I said is when he signed, there's footage about it when he signed, yeah? I said, Manchester United are not getting the Ronaldo they think they're getting, and Ronaldo is not getting the Man United he thinks he's going back to. And when he's gone back there, it's a shit show. The fucking roof's leaking. There's rats on the pitch. He's come out today and said the training facilities are the same for 9 years. They can't even afford a proper toaster. The guys are starving in the canteen. It's all right spending £1 billion, yeah, to win fuck all. But if your fucking canteen's falling apart and there's rats on the pitch, mate, you need to sort it out. So he's come there. He's thought to himself, wow, what the fuck am I doing here? He's been at Real Madrid for years. He's a winner. He's one of the best players, if not the best on the planet. He's a born winner, yeah? A born winner. And he's come to Man United and he's got to play with McTominay and Fred. And he's got to listen to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And then he's got to listen to Ralph Ragnick. And then they've gone and employed Eric Ten Hag. The guy just wants to get out of there.
But do you think? But do you think how he's gone about? What do you think of how he's gone about it? Because
no, I think he's a bit of a smack tass, and his ego's bigger than Man United at the minute. So he's gone about it the wrong way. But I think he's just thought, you know what? I don't want to be here. Things have gone on. I think he lost a baby and his missus, and he was out with illness, and he refused to come on, and this, that, and the other. I think the relationship's just broken down. There's only one man at that football club that got Ronaldo over the line was Alex Ferguson. And I think there's only one man that's kept him there. Fergie, in his ear at night, keeping him grounded, because I think he loves Ferguson and he loves him like a dad. But the relationship's broken down. If United though, the Glazers are just thinking about the dough. Because 1 minute they're breaking in the stadium and they want Glazers out. As soon as they sign Ronaldo, Saeed and all his mates are swinging in the car park and all buying fucking Man United bedspreads. So, you know what I mean? You can't have it both ways. But listen, he's come back and bit him on the arse. He had a good season last season, Ronaldo, but he's not up to it this season. He should have gone. Free transfer, whatever. He'll never play for Man United again. The interview's not even out yet. They reckon it's going to be dynamite. So, but long may it continue, mate.
I love it. Do you know what I'm saying? Nothing more than I love than seeing United in the mud, deep.
Why don't Arsenal go and get him?
Fuck off, mate.
Why not?
Well, I just told you we've come out of that ego, shit.
Yeah, this is the mentality change because last season outside the Emirates, if I said you could sign Ronaldo on a free, all them guys that were around you would have all been sweeing around that statue with Robbie. Yeah, and you'd have wanted him. But now, because you're winners and you realise that these guys ain't what it's about, you're thinking, nah, man.
Listen, if he can do that to the club he professes to love that much, we stand no chance. So now I don't want him. But listen, Big Steve, I'm gonna have to end it here. I do appreciate you coming on, man. Big up yourself, man.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
You know, you're one of the guys I listen to a lot. You know what I'm saying? You talk a lot of sense. You're very, very passionate. Very passionate guy, very articulated, proper Manchester guy. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
always, mate. When we come to the Emirates, we'll link up again. It was good to see you.
We'll shoot something, man. We'll shoot something. But
yeah,
listen,
100% anytime, mate.
I really appreciate it. But yeah, man, listen, guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, whatever it is that these other YouTubers tell you to do. But do it for me. Stricto. I am out. Make sure you check me out on Insta, BH_Stricto. Check out Steve as well. BigSteve MFC, I believe, on Insta and on YouTube, right?
BigSteve at BigSteve MCFC, yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. All right then, people. Love for the love, man. One.